This mini-movie is a drama, mystery romance about a Marine who nearly dies with his comrades in the midst of war but is saved by a mysterious woman in a photo. There will be spoilers, let's get started. The story begins with the main character, U.S. Marine Logan Thibault, talking about how the smallest thing can change your life instantly, in a blink of an eye. We see devastation all around, crumbled buildings in the morning after a bloody night raid. Seated in a corner amidst the rubble, something caught Marine Logan's eyes from a distance. He walked to it and saw a picture of a young woman. He didn't recognize the woman but kept the photo to look for the person who lost it. As he got up and walked, a bomb exploded right next to where he was seated earlier. He survived the explosion, but his 3 comrades died on the spot. He feels he owes the woman in the photo his life because of that. Nobody in his troop knew the woman, so he kept the picture. He promised himself that if he made it out of that war, he would find the girl in the picture to thank her. When he came home from Iraq, he stayed at his sister's home in Colorado. He tried to live as normal as he could with his sister's family and at the same time searched the internet for the woman in the picture. The lighthouse in the picture helped him identify the place as Hamden, Louisiana. When his traumatic war experiences got in the way of living normally with his sister's kids, he decided to leave. With his backpack and Marine background to support him, he decided to walk from Colorado to Hamden, with his German Shepherd Zeus, and look for the mystery woman. Upon reaching the town, he asked around until he found a man, Tony, who identified the mystery woman as Beth Green. She runs a family-owned kennel business, Green Kennels, with her grandmother Ellie. Logan saw the place, and as soon as he saw the owner, Beth Green, come towards him, he felt the picture come to life. Beth Green introduced herself first, and when Logan was getting the picture out of his wallet to explain why he was there, Beth Green saw a newspaper clipping he took out of his wallet and assumed Logan was applying for an ad she put out. Logan was surprised and at a loss for words but took the opportunity to earn his keep and get to know Beth Green. As he filled in the application form, Beth Green continued to ask about his background. Upon learning that Logan is a Marine and has walked from Colorado to Louisiana, she excused herself and consulted her grandmother Ellie on her doubts about Logan. Grandmother Ellie spoke with Logan and immediately liked and hired him, much to Beth's surprise and dismay. Logan then found an old rundown house near his work, rented it, and fixed it. At the kennel, he went about his daily duties, feeding and bathing dogs, cleaning up cages, and even fixing an old tractor. Logan worked non-stop, and grandmother Ellie was very much pleased. One day, while Beth Green was away and Logan was alone at the kennel, a police car came by. Logan asked the police officer if he needed any help. The officer appeared surprised and displeased at Logan's presence. He interrogated Logan instead. Finding nothing on Logan, he roughly told Logan to tell Beth Green he will see her at 4. Apparently, the police officer is Beth's estranged husband, Deputy Sheriff Keith Clayton, and the son of the town's judge. They have a 7-year-old son, Ben. Logan's presence sparked jealousy in Sheriff Keith. At the fundraising party hosted by Keith's father, which Beth Green and her 7-year-old son Ben attended that afternoon, Sheriff Keith asked Beth Green about Logan. Beth said she didn't hire Logan. Of course, Sheriff Keith didn't believe it. Beth was not as pleasant to Logan as grandmother Ellie. While Ellie invites Logan for morning coffee, Beth is irritated that Logan appears to be everywhere she goes. One breakfast, as Logan tells Ellie that he likes to read, Beth challenged him to give a quote of his favorite philosopher. Logan quoted, "Sometimes the questions are complicated, and the answers are simple." Beth Green said the philosopher of that quote is Voltaire. Logan said, "It's Dr. Seuss," thanked Ellie for the coffee, and left to start his work. Ellie laughed while Beth was mortified as she closed the door. 7-year-old Ben plays the violin but gets teased in school about it, so he never performs in front of people. He goes to a secluded treehouse to play the instrument so no one will hear him play. Logan got to hear him play one afternoon as he walked home from work. He stopped a while, listened for a bit and praised Ben. One afternoon, Grandmother Ellie asked Logan to drive for her, and as he returned the car keys, he found no one in the house. He saw the piano on his way out and tried to play a few keys until he heard Beth arriving with her friends. Ben saw him playing the piano. That night, as Logan closed shop and bid mother/son goodnight, he was invited to a jambalaya dinner by 7-year-old Ben. After dinner, Logan challenged Ben to a chess match, to which Ben immediately accepted to skip washing the dishes. Ben was a chess master. Logan ended up washing the dishes with Beth. Before leaving for the night, Logan attempts to tell Beth the real reason for his trip to Hamden, but can't find the words to say. Beth understood and said, "Some other time." He went home disappointed and upset. He placed the picture beneath a book on his console table. Beth's brother, Sergeant Drake Green, was a Marine killed in his second tour of Iraq a year ago. On his death anniversary, Beth Green and Grandma Ellie visited his grave. At home, seated in the garden, Beth suddenly became emotional and hysterical. Logan rushed to calm her down. As Beth settled down, she opened up to Logan about her brother Drake. She just wants to know that his brother didn't die for nothing. This brief encounter developed into a pleasant and peaceful working relationship between Beth and Logan. Beth opened up more to Logan, which eventually led to Beth falling for him. Everything's turning up roses until Sheriff Keith's jealousy causes him to threaten Beth of taking Ben away from her if she continues to get close to Logan. Afraid of losing Ben, she stayed away from Logan. Grandma Ellie confronted Beth about her decision to avoid Logan because of her fear of Keith. Grandma Ellie told her it is about time to think of herself. On the day Beth brought her son Ben to Sheriff Keith's house, she faced up to Keith and spoke her mind. She told Sheriff Keith she will face him in any court because she knows she is a good mother to their son Ben, and drove away. Logan and Beth started to become more open with their relationship. Beth finally moved on from her grief of losing her brother Drake and fixed their home back to its former glory. When the church pianist broke her wrist, Grandma Ellie needed someone to play for the choir. Ben volunteered Logan. Logan then encouraged Ben to play the violin while he played the piano. Beth was so pleased to see them practice. In church, the man who identified Beth in the picture recognized Logan and told Keith. As Logan returned home that day, he saw his front door open. Nothing appeared amiss except the book on his console table. It was disarrayed. Beth's picture is missing. It was Sheriff Keith who ransacked his home to look for the photo, and that night, he brought it to Beth. He told her the backstory of the time when Logan was looking for her. The photo is Drake's. As Sheriff Keith left Beth's house, Logan arrived. Beth confronted him and gave him the chance to explain why he had the picture. In the end, Beth cannot accept the fact that her brother Drake was dead and Logan is alive because of the picture. She asked Logan to leave. In her solitude, she went to her favorite spot, her father's neglected moored boat, which she found out was fixed by Logan. A drunken Keith, on the other hand, saw Logan walking home and taunted him for a fight. When Logan didn't pay him any attention, Keith aimed his gun at him. Logan skillfully disarmed Keith. Humiliated, Keith went to his father, who assured him that he took care of the situation. Keith surrendered his badge to his father. Logan went home and began to pack his things. As he checked the book Ben gave him, he saw a picture of Drake and remembered Drake to be the guy he came across the night of the raid. So he decided to let Beth know that night. From his father's house, Keith went to Beth's place to plead with her to accept him back. When Beth declined, he threatened to take Ben away from her and started calling out for Ben. Ben heard it and ran out of the house towards his treehouse. Keith ran after Ben. Beth followed them. Logan saw Beth and called out to her. Grandma Ellie asked Logan to follow Beth. Ben was unable to cross the wooden hanging bridge to the treehouse because it broke down. He clung to the rope until Keith was able to reach him. Logan came, swam across the raging waters and took Ben from Keith. As he was to go back for Keith, the treehouse crashed down over Keith, which brought him under the raging waters. He didn't make it. The following day, Logan went back to Beth's house to give Drake's picture back and tell Beth how he remembered Drake from that night raid. He said both their platoons crossed that night. Drake didn't leave one of his men who got hit. He didn't die for nothing, Logan said. And then Logan started his walk to leave Hamden. Beth came running after him to tell him to stay because he belongs with them. The movie ends with Logan, Beth and Ben cruising the river in Beth's father's boat. That's the end of our mini movie. Can you guess the movie rating? The Lucky One was released in 2012 and critics gave it a 20% tomato score, 67% by the audience, and Mini Movies rates it 7 out of 10 doggy treats. If you enjoyed this mini movie, you can support the movie by watching The Lucky One or following us on social media.